going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes. We're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no.
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Super Bowl of SHTF. Oh, what a mess we are at. Good golly, it is Super Bowl Sunday, but guess what? I don't care. Oh, I'll have to hear about the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to have to hear about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't care. But, you know, I find sports mildly entertaining these days. But, you know, it's a bigger story with the Super Bowl than football is the Taylor Swift idiot Kelsey romance. Is Taylor hiding her gayness in a false relationship with a big giant lunk of a fucking idiot? So hard to tell. So hard to tell. I mean, that's really it, you know. Anyways, I want to start the show off. And we love to start the show off with the big super chats. And we get them every single week. And I'm super grateful for it. We're going to start this week with Chin Music. He has done, folks, a $102.23 super chat donation. And there it is, the Glenfiddich 18. Going to start off with a big old Super Bowl salute to you. Mr. Chin Music, Semper Fi, God bless America. To everyone else, cheers down the hatch, Prost and Salut. Very nice. Oh, woo! That's the good stuff. Now, Chin Music says, hey, I didn't have time to memorize the Black National Anthem, so I'm barred from watching. Fuck the NFL. He's got people testing for their belts, black belts. That's great. Essentially, what Chin Music wanted to talk about was the America Last Republicans. That's right. 12 Senate Republicans voted to send Ukraine another $60 billion after vowing to put the United States of America's border first. Well, I'm telling you what, they can pass all the shit they want in the Senate. If it does not pass the House of Representatives, it does not pass. Period. But let's see, the Republicans have 49-ish senators, and 12 of them decided to vote. 12 of them decided to vote for the Democrats. That leaves us about 35. A strong third of the senators in this country are actual Republicans that we can almost count on. That's the kind of trouble we're in. I'll tell you what, folks, it's right where we're at. Right where we're at. Putting America last. Thanks. You guys are great. Just great. Well, tell you what. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, would you look at that? We got Darcy T checking in. And, of course, a $50 PayPal Super Chat donation from Darcy T. And she's got quite a bit to say as well. I'm hoping we're going to get Chin Music back here later. We've got a lot going on. That bottle's getting a little empty. Let's see if we can put it out of business. Any Super Chat donation, $50 or more, buys me a nice scotch. Takes care of the pantry. Make sure we've got Spam and tuna fish. Semper Fi. Down the hatch. Now, Darcy T says this, folks. Been seeing more of this in the news lately. Think they're trying to use this fungal infection as disease X so they can start pushing all countries into giving up more of their sovereignty. It is a full spectrum attack, Darcy. They're coming at us from every angle. Yeah, they haven't really released their Disease X yet. Disease X. What could it be? Well, the last one was Cerveza bug. Oh my God, it's a common cold gone crazy. A virus. Well, a fungal infection, Disease X, is not going to be anything remotely like a virus, remotely like a bacteria. It is a fungus. Fungus among us. It's a mushroom. A mushroom is a fungus. What causes them to live and die is nothing. You can't get vaccinated for a fungal infection. Ridiculous. But yeah, would they want to start scaring people? Well, if we look back in history, Darcy, of brief relative history, they tried scaring us with monkeypox. Monkeypox. Well, it turned out that's a gay butt pirate orgy disease. And they're like, whoops. Yeah. You're not going to scare the rest of the planet unless you're a homosexual having homosexual orgy problems. That one backfired in their face, trying to give something to scare us. Something to scare us. Now, Darcy watches, along with other things, the Cerveza bug, and then, of course, the take a wild guess. Well, Furman defensive tackle, age 21. That means he's a college football player. He decided he was going to play football. He's a defensive tackle, a big, healthy guy, only 21 years old. Well, during a workout this week, guess what he did? He collapsed. He collapsed. That didn't kill him, though, folks. But 2 days later, guess what? He died. He went from, practice to just working out, just doing a little workout. That was it. He tried coming back to exercise and he died. So take a wild guess. He was 21 years old, just 21. Can you admit? It's crazy, folks. He was just 21. All righty, folks. We kicked the show off. We're at 240 people live. Let's get that number up. Hit the thumbs up down below. These are the stuff we need to do every single time. Hit the thumbs up. Share the internet link over here. Get that internet address. And if you've got something to say, this is the zoo. This is the Super Bowl of SHTF. If it's happening, if you think it's going to happen, if you want it to happen, if you don't want it to happen, whatever you want to talk about, that super chat button right up there, or PayPal, Venmo, CashApp, and we will talk about what you want to talk about. So let's do it. Let's do it. I think Jolene is saying Chin Music's got more to say. And I'm going to say it isn't so, but I know it is. What does he have to say, Jolene? He says, man, what a letdown. It's not the stab in the back that hurts. It's when you turn around and see who's holding the knife. Ouch. Most Republicans are really Democrats, but zero Democrats are Republicans. That's very true. Very true. The rhinos, they'll swing over to the Republican side sometimes, claim their Republicanism, and then go and vote for all the Democrat shit. You won't see any Democrats voting Republican. Well, wait a minute. Beep, beep, beep. Back it up. Didn't we have a Democrat senator from the state of West Virginia who wanted nuclear power and coal mining to happen? Can't remember his name offhand, but he started bucking the system until he got what he needed. And that's how it works. Everyone's for sale. So Chin Music says, true again. Trump needs to take the party away from these hacks if he gets back in. We have no other choice. These weapons won't even be built in a year, and the war is all but over. All but over. Continuing. Man, what a letdown. It's not a stab. It's when you turn around and see who's holding a knife. Most Republicans. That's correct. Now, it says continued again. Oh, here we are. John, the low T GOP did it again. The low T GOP. The low testosterone. The soy boy, weak, limp-ass Republicans is what he's talking about. He says, fuck these guys. They sent Ukraine $60 billion without any border security measures. Tragically disappointing was Senator Kennedy of Louisiana. The rest won't get past YouTube. I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. This bill that was being signed, no worries, Jolene. The bill that was being signed, remember, in order for anything to get passed, it has to go through the Senate and the House of Representatives. Both of them have to pass it. Typically, there'll be a House bill, an HB or an SB, Senate bill, or an HSB, right, House Senate bill, or an S. Anyways, the point is it has to go past both. If they do their conference committees and get everything together and everyone's happy and excited, then they'll sign it easily. Oftentimes, they'll say, we need a border security bill. So the Senate will come up with one idea. It's completely opposite of what the Republicans in the House would want. So they'll never come to terms. So the Senate can pass bills all day long. But I don't think it's a law. I don't think they can fund something without Congress. Congress, folks, is the House and the Senate. In Congress, as in the House of Representatives, they have to sign something or not. And if they can't get it through the House, the bill dies. Am I wrong? Am I incorrect on this? I don't think so. You can't just shove shit through a Democrat Senate and then call it law. It just can't be done. Anyways, that is why the other day, earlier in the week, MAGA Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives, said that bill is dead on arrival, meaning it wasn't going to get past him. So, yeah, so this is a symbolic bill in the Senate. It is symbolic to show the World Economic Forum that everyone in the Senate, they're playing along just fine. They're the good guys, right? But it's interesting, Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, for the last several months, probably 6 months, has been a firebrand. He's been calling out the Democrats on their bullshit from Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown. I think he let her look like a complete fucking moron to the world. She doesn't know what a woman is. Ketanji Brown Jackson. There we go. Yeah. But now he's going to just say, let's give another $60 billion to Ukraine. That doesn't sound very patriotic, especially since Ukraine is about to surrender. And yeah, we're already out of munitions and arms. And they wanted to send another $60 billion over there to be wasted. And oh yeah, by the way, while we're on this topic, I've got something for you. The Ukrainian military intelligence has something for the world. Is it their victorious record? No. Is it that they're figuring out how to defeat the Russians finally and they're going to do well? No, what is happening is the Ukrainian military intelligence says Russian troops are using the American Starlink internet terminals at the front lines. That's right, folks. Russia has hacked the Starlink system and they're using it to their advantage. Folks, modern warfare, it has changed quite a bit. They're now using drones to attack armies. They're making tanks obsolete. Warfare is changing. And I want everyone to think about that. in the United States of America, it's applicable as well. Patriots. Understand, if somebody uses drones to kill Americans, then wherever that drone base is needs to be taken out immediately, and everyone there needs to be subjected to very harsh interrogation techniques. The point? I really don't like drone warfare. I think it's chicken shit. I really do. I understand the battlefield has changed. I get it. But I really do think it's chicken shit. Just like drones way up there, Predator and Reaper drones, where's the fun in that? Well, what the world powers, folks, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, what they want is armies of non-humans that won't question orders, that'll kill, kill, kill. And so this Ukraine-Russia special military operation is a testing battleground for new technologies to see what works and what doesn't. So the U.S. gives Starlink to the Ukraine military, and they don't do a damn thing with it worth a shit. I believe Elon Musk turned it off when they said they were going to use it to attack Russia on the mainland. Or was it Crimea? In any event, he's like, nope. You're using it to fight in Ukraine, or what was Ukraine. It's a big mess, folks. We have, how do I put this for you? We have a sea change in the battlefield and tactics. A sea change. And I want to go over this very quickly. Very quickly. No, I'm going to take my fucking time. Number one, we're over 300 people live on Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you. Number two, tell people to come to this link. They can watch the fucking Super Bowl, catch the highlights, everything else. Ooh, man, someone out there is going to put the score up, keep us, letting us know if there's a false flag. A lot of people predicting false flag at the Super Bowl. Lucas, my son included. Okay. This topic of changing warfare, the battlefield changes. As we get closer to partisan conflict, as we get closer to geographical, regional SHTF hotspots, as we get closer to the potential for secessionary movements to break out regardless of what local or state government thinks, we're going to see a change in the battlefield as well. Now, prior to 1776, I won't dwell back here too long, folks, in 1776. Prior to that, a military would meet another military on the field of battle. Basically, the field of battle would be a wide open field, and the armies would muster at either end of this field. They'd be a couple 100 yards long. They would line up in formation and prepare to fight. They would march forward in two columns of two. They would get to a position where they felt they were close. The front rank would go to kneeling position. The back rank would stay in the offhand position, standing. They would be given orders from the lieutenant or captain who would scream, right? Ready, aim, fire, or whatever their series was. Take your marks. Take your target. Prepare to fire. Fire. Oof. Huge clouds, gaseous, white, acrid, sulfurous gunpowder going off. Okay, they would usually or sometimes have additional ranks that would step forward through or step up to that line. Those who fired would move back behind and start reloading. Meanwhile, the other side is doing the exact same thing. They're taking their marks, they're taking their target, they're preparing to fire, they fire. And so you got two armies facing each other, just blasting the fuck out of each other with musket balls. Now, one commander at any point, and he could plan this prior to or during the battle, demand or call for a charge. Like the other military, poof, 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 right? Their guns aren't working right. Great. We'll take more time and reload and get off a few more volleys. Now, if your powder is bad, it rained all night, your matchlocks aren't working, whatever you've got a bad batch of powder, whatever, you're going to be like, oh shit, we've got no more rifle, no more muskets. And they would just yell charge, and you charge at the enemy. Or both would simultaneously yell charge. And then it's fixed bayonets, hand-to-hand combat. That was how you fought colonial style. The British were the best at it in the world. That's why they were the world empire at the time. They won their battles. They destroyed their enemies at sea and on land. Now, we understand that. That was before 1776. After 1776, the colonial army incorporated the American native battle technique. That is, the Indians would hide behind trees and rocks and not give the white man a target to shoot them. Why stand out in the open and allow yourself to be shot? The natives not too stupid, right? Well, it didn't take long for the Americans to go, you know what? Why should we go stand in the middle of the field? And so they would stay just far enough away from the marching columns of the British and ambush them as they would travel from place to place. Now, colonial armies were not ready to engage ambush. It didn't suit their fighting technique and style. Right? They couldn't charge after the Americans. If they did, they would run into the teeth of, well, you could say squads or platoons that were behind them. Right? So they weren't prepared to run and chase into an ambush. So it took its toll, folks, but that was the change of the battlefield in the late 1700s. Now, the Americans did stand and fight colonial style as well. I believe there's a battle where they said, do not fire until you see the whites of their eyes. First one to get that up on the board gets a attaboy from me. What battle was that? Do not fire until you see the whites of their eyes. And I can tell you why they said that, the commander. Because they didn't have much ball and powder. They were very limited. So they knew that if they were going to take a shot, they had to make it count. They had to be in range. They had to be very close. You can see the whites of their eye. Battle at New Orleans, says Ronan Prepper? I don't think so. Sir Hunsalot says Concord and Lexington? I don't think so. Someone will get it. Are you guys just guessing? Someone needs to Google that shit. All right. Anyways, Bunker Hill, the Yankee watchdog, you get the attaboy. Battle of Bunker Hill. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes. And the British knocked down a lot of Americans. Thank you, James Floyd. Yes, sir. The Battle of Bunker Hill. They waited until they saw the whites of their eyes. A lot of Americans took lead that day. Awful, but heroic. And the Americans took the day. They won the day. Now, the battlefield changed is the point. Here we are today. We went from colonial armies to guerrilla fighting, from wooden ships to steel ships, to airplanes in the early 1900s, to biplanes, right? Then to powerful supercharged planes in World War II, with guerrilla-trained military units in the Army and the Marine Corps, naval battleships, submarines. Right, the end of World War II saw jet-powered planes, buzz bomb rockets with real rocket motors to fire all the way into London. The Germans had disc-shaped craft, flying wing by the Horton brothers. The technology was astounding. The use of the aircraft carrier, the early jets started. It was incredible. The military progression. All along we had tanks. Then we got stronger tanks, bigger guns, heavier tanks, faster tanks. That didn't really change a whole lot till we got to the M1A1 Abrams, which computerized tank systems running on a jet turbine engine in a freaking tank. It could do 45 miles an hour and fire its main gun, while moving and hit targets. That was a big fucking deal when that came out in the early 80s. Of course, we also had nuclear war, the threat of. Well, here we are. The 80s are 35 years to 45 years behind us. And now, what do we have? We went from drones way up in the sky to drone swarms that can be carried in a briefcase. Inexpensive, smaller drones that you or I could control with a remote control that could be armed with enough explosives to take out a tank or to take out jets on the ground or helicopters on the ground. They can be used to take out troops. They're great for surveillance. They're great for sneak attacks. Now, I'm going to tell you again, if our government ever uses drones on us, it's going to be a shitstorm of hell to pay for whoever those drone operators are. At the same time, just like the Russians are using Starlink in Ukraine for their own purposes, the very least of which is to listen to and look at what Ukraine is doing, but they may be gathering intel from satellites, etc., for themselves. The Russians have learned to use inexpensive drones to attack everything in Ukraine and take them out. So the battlefield is once again changing. Now, you have shotguns, pump, auto, AR-12s. You have handguns, you have rifles, look, I looked at AR-10 prices. You can pick up an AR-10. That's an AR-10 in 308. It used to be a $1,500 to $5,000 weapon. Now they're $500 complete out of the box. Oh, they're more expensive as well, but you can get your basic model. And that's not components, that's pieces. I looked it up. The 223 or 556, it's available even cheaper. They're so common, which is beautiful. We, folks, have all we need on the little people end. Everyone I talk to, even, look, I've met old women. They're like, I've got boxes of ammo at home. I'm like, boxes? What do you mean, a couple little boxes? They're like, ammo boxes, sweetheart. And I'm like, holy shit. This is a war that we're going to end up fighting for our country. It's about the border. It's about Washington, D.C. It's about our rights. It's about the thievery that's been going on. And we can win it, folks. We can win it at the ballot box. We can win it fighting whoever they bring on. And we can win it if we have to take on the whole government themselves. They do not command ownership of the battlefield because it is a multifaceted battlefield. People will die. But I think that those who have committed treason against us, they'll be paying the most. They'll be paying the most. There's something to say, folks. There's something to say for what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine and in Israel and everywhere else on the planet. Let's do this, though. Let's get off of what I want to talk about. We're at 360 people live right now. I want to hit 400. Hit the thumbs up. Share that address. And make sure you're subscribed. Jolene, who wants to step up next? Super chat. It is Yankee Watchdog with a $10 super chat donation. You got something to say in that button right up there? That's the one. And Yankee says this: whomever wins the stupid bowl has been preordained. It's just like the World Wrestling Federation, the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment anymore. Interestingly, I think it was Was it Peyton Manning or Eli Manning? His young son was standing next to him, and he had a hot mic moment and had words to the effect of, this was scripted. His kid said that the game was scripted. And this is talking about not the Super Bowl, but the championship games. What does that tell you, folks? Yeah, every play isn't scripted, but I think preordained is a good way to put it. A good way to put it. Very interesting stuff. Thank you, Yankee. That's why I don't give a shit about the stupid bowl anymore. I really think, and I think I've shared this, the last time I gave a fuck about football was the Snow Bowl when the Raiders were in Foxborough Stadium, Boston, against the Patriots, and they sacked the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Ball came out, Raiders recovered. I went to bed at that moment, didn't realize this thing got invented called the Tuck Rule, which basically says you can't do that to Tom Brady. And after that, I was like this. Done. Don't need to think about football anymore. And it was that easy. Just turn it right off. Now, I did have a football signed by Jim Plunkett, 2-time winner of the Super Bowl. I gave that to my brother, who is a diehard Raiders fan. My Raiders book that was signed by George Atkinson, who is a member of the he played for the Raiders in the 70s. I think they had a name for their secondary, and it had the assassin in it. What the fuck was the name of those guys? I'll remember. They were bad. They were mean. And of course, the assassin didn't get that name because he was a nice guy. In any event, folks, I gave up sports. Fuck it. Who cares? And really, in a lot of ways, that was just made my life a lot easier and less expensive. All right, Jolene, who's up next? We have Boomer21 with a Canadian $20 super chat donation. And he says, hey, during the Bolshevik Revolution, this would be in the Russian Empire, folks, when the Romanov family was in charge, royalty, of course, royalty related to royalty in, well, Germany and England and all over Europe. So the Romanovs, the emperor, that was who was up against the Bolsheviks. During the Bolshevik Revolution, people in downtown Moscow were still watching movies in theaters while bloodshed was in their streets. Not much difference as to now, while many are watching the big game. That's correct, folks. The Russians, not all of them, but a fair percentage of them, pretended everything was fine. The middle class, the upper class, they did not want to deal with these idiot Bolsheviks, these idiot communists who were infiltrating the military, going through colleges, getting into businesses. They had key spies in government units everywhere. And they went on the attack. The Romanovs failed. They were captured. The Tsar, the Tsarina, their daughters were bayoneted to death, massacred and mutilated by the Bolshevik communists in their giant effort to take over the country. It wasn't fast. But once they toppled the Romanovs, it certainly made it a lot easier. But yeah, at the beginning, the people of Moscow and Russia in general didn't think much of the Bolsheviks. They thought, it's a civil war. The military will put an end to it. Didn't end that way, folks. They were too embedded. The people of Russia acquiesced to whoever had the most guns and was the most violent. Except the Russian people didn't realize once the government was turned over to Vladimir Lenin, and Trotsky, and Stalin and the gang, that they would go on a murdering spree to kill civilians as well as the Russian army. It was unbelievable, folks. The estimates are 35 to 55 million people were killed in Ukraine, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Georgia, Russia, Kyrgyzstan, everywhere. But yeah, people, they wanted the Russian people, folks, especially the Muscovites, they wanted their bread and circus. They were living well, but the Bolsheviks, the communists, used the poor and the young, who underprivileged, unsatisfied communists who fell for the brainwashing idea back then that we'll take power and we'll all share the wealth and share the money. We'll all live great. They proved it doesn't work, folks. They proved it. They proved that, well, if you can't have anything, why bother? And if the government's going to give it to you, why bother? What's the point in working hard if you're just going to be punished for it? Well, Russia is a completely different place today. The Soviet Communist Empire failed. And oh yeah, they killed their tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of people of their own. But they failed ultimately in the early 90s. And they're a different country now. Tucker Carlson met, folks, with Vladimir Putin. And the world has been impressed at how Putin looks and sounds. He is not like Nikita Khrushchev screaming and yelling and banging his fucking shoe on the lectern as he chastises the United Nations body. No, he's calm, he's cool, he's collected, he's intellectual. He'll explain his position from his perspective. You don't have to agree with him, but at least he'll make the argument. He'll have the debate. And the mainstream media is calling for Tucker Carlson to be arrested, for him to be charged with treason. They are furious. And I'm like, why are we furious with getting someone else's opinion? There's Tucker Carlson in no way was there to offer money to Putin, a deal to Putin, to buy Putin out. Nor could Putin offer money to Tucker and say, hey, Tucker, and here's 5 billion rubles. You take these back to Biden. Say, here you go, big guy. This is for you. 1 billion rubles. Tucker could only interview. That's all he's good for. He's a media mouthpiece. Private, though, and that's why this happened. But not only did Tucker meet with Vladimir Putin, he also met with the woman who said Joe Biden raped her. Tara Reid said the FBI was harassing her. She was getting threats. There was retribution for complaining about a sexual harassment / rape allegation. An absolute crime. If someone wants to make an accusation, you cannot say or do anything to them. Yet that's what happened. So Tara Reid is now hiding in Moscow, in Russia, because she fears for her life for exposing Joe Biden as a fucking rapist sack of shit. On top of that, on top of meeting Tara Reid, Tucker also met with Edward Snowden, another so-called traitor, treasonous, whistleblowing asshole that the U.S. government doesn't like, who had to go and hide in Moscow, Russia, in order to not be murdered for exposing the lies of the CSA, NSA, CIA. Did I say CSA? I don't even know who that is. Someone look up CSA. I bet it's some top secret super group no one's ever heard of, and it just came to me from the great ether. Fuck. And those 2 shots of scotch did their magic. I feel very smooth. Anyways, yeah, Russia used to be a murderous hellhole. Now it's a place where people go for fucking refuge. Times have changed, have they not? That's right. People hide in Russia so Biden can't kill or arrest them. Okay, Jolene, who's up next? We've got Bob Hunter with a £5 super chat donation. Thank you, Bob Hunter. I believe you're from jolly old England. Nope, Scotland. Scotland. It's got to be Scotland. Anyways, got a calico cat there. He says, hi, John. No questions. I appreciate the great support, Bob. Semper Fi to you over there. Our brothers across the pond, folks in the UK, just like our brothers up north in Canada, held hostage by fruitcakes. In New Zealand and Australia, same story, held hostage. All right, Jolene, who wants to step up next? I know we got more super chat out there. It's Nancy Keg with a $10 super chat. She says, hey, for the puppy bowl, at least they are funny and cute. Semper Fi, John. Thank you, and Semper Fi to you, Nancy Keg. I bet she got a lot of invites to parties in college. All right, no one tell Mr. Keg that. That name, I bet, yeah, to be the Kegger. Ah, yes, to be Kegger. That's a hell of a nickname. All right, Jolene, we got another one there. I think there's 1, 2. Ooh, woo! Cyber Hana with a $100 super chat donation. Bam! That's 2 over 100 today. Cyber Hana, I want to thank you for the great emails you've been sharing through the backside as well. And by backside, I poured that one a little thick. But a $50 or more super chat donation buys me an 18-year scotch, a Glenfiddich. And Cyber Hana says, thank you, John, Umano, Jolene, and this prepared family for all you do. Cheers. And cheers to you, Cyber Hana, for taking good care of me and the gang. God bless you. Whoa. Mother's milk. Good golly. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Cyrana, and thank you again. Let us move on if we shall. Bob, oh, good God. Bob Hunter. He's back with a £2 super chat donation to Cyrana. Why don't you round it up to $100,000? Well, why not indeed? Just another 1,000 times bigger than that. I tell you what, I'm grateful for all you guys do to keep the Prepared Mind bunker going, keeping the channel up, the lights on, keeping the fridge packed, keeping the shelf pantries packed, and making sure I have at least one bottle of scotch at all times. You guys have been fantastic. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Name redacted said, not CSA. You're thinking CISA, Division of Homeland Security. Aha, that's where that came from. But the CIA was primarily who I was discussing, and Snowden pissed off the NSA. Julian Assange got caught. They won't let him go, will they? What a bunch of bullshit. Fucking governments are cowardly. Now, let's finish this Russian Bolshevik Ukraine thing. Stalin, Soviet premier, took command of the Soviet army, the nation, everything. And he murdered through starvation, I think, a couple million Ukrainians. There's bad blood there, folks. Ukraine has been part of the Russian Empire. It's been part of the Prussian, I think, Empire. It's always been this area, very valuable. It's been struggled for and fought over and mistreated. And isn't it funny how today, even the modern, big, generous-hearted Democrats and socialists of the world use Ukraine like a prostitute. They screw Ukraine over, but then they don't pay her. They take her money from her at the same time. Basically, Ukraine, is a sex slave for Europe in more ways than one, and I'm not going to get into it now. But Ukraine and its military, Zelensky, Voldemort Zelensky, midget, tight jeans wearing fruitcake, he decided that he was going to finally fire the head of the military. And now they have a new Ukrainian commander, top commander, and his name is Syrskyi. Syrskyi the Butcher is his nickname. Syrskyi the Butcher, the Butcher. Could this be one of those guys that was murdering ethnic Russians in the eastern provinces? Syrskyi the Butcher? Could it be? Well, the social media sphere is melted down over this guy being appointed. I know, hire more Nazis to be up front. What could go wrong? Unbelievable, folks. They would bring the butcher in to lead the military. Who is getting butchered, though? Wait for it. Who's getting butchered? Oh, the Ukrainian people who are being forced to go up there. Unbelievable, believable. But here we are, folks. Believe it. It is the Super Bowl of SHTF. And, folks, we're still in the first quarter. The first quarter of the big game. And I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about SHTF. We're in the first quarter still. The government has scored, and we, the people, have fought back and done a little scoring ourselves. Now, let's do another Super Chat donation. You guys keep me busy here. We've got Bob Hunter again with a £5 Super Chat donation. Bob, you're in Scotland, right? Where they make this stuff. Please let me know I'm not getting that wrong. He says, John, I believe we have the so-called elites running away with their tails between their legs. Thoughts? I don't believe they're running away. I do believe, to use the expression, they're running scared, or that is, they're very concerned. They're scared. We are waking up. We, meaning England, the continent, America, Canada, Australia. Other parts of the free world are waking up. Other parts that aren't part of the Western elite core, that is to say, nations in Africa, nations in the Middle East, nations in Asia and South America are joining the BRICS Union, which doesn't want the American, the Anglo-American or Euro-American banking cartel. They don't want to be controlled. So those elites are running scared. China is not bowing. Russia is not bowing. Brazil, India. Folks, Russia, China, Brazil, and India. Never mind South Africa. It's imploding right now. As well as the other BRICS nations comprise, I believe, 2/3 of the world's population already. Europe and America, very small. About 15%, I think, of the world population. Now, as far as them running away, they are running for cover. I will say that, Bob. I can agree with you there. They're scared, yes. I don't know if their tails are between their legs, but they've certainly girded their loins. They've taken a good bashing from us. And they're starting to take a bashing from themselves. The left is attacking the left. The left is attacking the left. Meaning Antifa, BLM, college students, and the Middle Eastern immigrant student bodies. They don't like Joe Biden. They don't like Hillary Clinton. They literally don't like them, folks. Follow them around and harass the shit out of them. Literally. They call Joe Biden, folks, get this, they call him Genocide Joe because he's supporting, He's supporting the Jews, the Israelis. At the same time, he wants to support both sides. Well, the protesters don't give a shit. The pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist. These people support terrorism, folks. I don't like them, but they hate the Democrats. Who's busy, Jolene? What do we got going? All right. They hate Joe Biden. He can give Gaza money. He can give Iran billions, and they have. But they don't care. They're still coming after him. Oh, okay, there we go. Thanks, Jolene. All right, and at Columbia University, these same idiot protesters showed up, or ones just like them, and they called out Hillary Clinton, folks. They screamed, "War criminal! America will never forgive you. You will burn." That's what they said to her. And I love that Hillary is getting the anti-war 70s hippie hate that she put out when she and Bill Clinton were little college freaks. And by the way, Hillary Clinton, as far as I'm concerned, is a war criminal. Woo! So yeah, the elite's running away. Bob, I'll tell you what. I think they're ducking and running for cover, yes. I don't think they're running to their final bunker locations. I don't think they're that beat up. We haven't won that much. And remember, wars are not won unless little battles are won all along the way. And we have yet to really engage them in a big battle. We've won some minor skirmishes. But there's going to come a part where the World Economic Forum is taken out, where there's a big move by China and Russia to crush the US dollar. And if you paid attention to economics and monetary policy and fiscal policy, all of that is all lined up right now. The US dollar could take it on the chin. That would fuck up the euro. That would fuck up the yen. We got some big trouble. All right, let's keep on rolling. Who's up next? And Bob says, "You're correct, John. Thank you." Bam, Scotland. If it ain't Scotch, it's crap. Thank you again, Bob, for the great comments and then great support as well. Jolene, who else? What else? Who else? Holy cow. NPNY 1970 does a $50 super chat donation. And yes, that $1 or 1 penny off. I don't know why YouTube does that, but it does. Whatever. Here we are. It's getting mighty thin there. Mighty thin. He says, "Thanks to you, I got my shit together 10 years ago. Nothing but chaos here in New York. Have a shot with me in memory of my brother who passed. He was a 25-year vet. God bless and semper fi." Cheers to you, brother. And to your brother who was a 25-year vet, doubtless a patriot and an American. We all have that in front of us, folks, to decide if we're going to be patriots or loyalists, whether we be free or servile, whether we live on our own terms or obey the terms of masters. For me, I choose liberty. And ultimately, I'll stand with Patrick Henry and say, give me liberty or give me death. Because living without liberty, my friends, my countrymen, is not living. It's not. You've got to be free, and that's why I fight for it every single day. Thank you, NPNY 1970. Semper Fi. Wow, that was a good one. Jolene, what else have we got there? Are we rolling? Is it my turn? No, we got more going. Chin Music checks in with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, Sersky is the only butcher with no knives. He's talking about Ukraine's newly appointed military leader. You know, when the Marine Corps General Mad Dog Mathis was presented to the American public during the Trump regime, I thought, okay, Mad Dog. You know, this guy is just, he's a fighter. Well, Mad Dogs fight, but butchers cut throats, folks. Butchers cut you to ribbons. This Sersky guy, woo! Yeah, a butcher with no knives. You can guess his specialty, folks. And remember, and please try to remember, war is hell. People on both sides do awful fucking things. The fact that the Russians are taking Ukraine military as prisoners of war, and they're feeding them and keeping them clothed and not frozen to death. And if you listen to Putin, Putin talked about Washington, D.C. Putin talked about the military leadership and the political leadership in America. He did not talk like, I'll make the American people pay for what you guys are doing. He didn't blame us. He didn't blame us. But that's what terrorists do. Terrorists attack civilians, folks. Terrorists attack civilians. What is our government doing by allowing in over 10 million foreign invaders? That is authorizing an attack on us. It's a terrorist attack. They're not honest enough to just come out and say, you know what, fuck you, America, we hate you. We're Washington, D.C., and we're going to screw you over. They don't have the guts to say that. They're a bunch of cowards hiding behind agendas that they're not honest about. But I know who they are, and I know what they're doing, and there's going to be hell to pay. Hell to pay. All right, thank you, Chin Music. Once again, bam, and thank you for your behind-the-scenes efforts. Jolene, who do we have up next? I don't want to... Holy cow, I don't want to miss this. Good golly, it's Stephen Conlon from jolly old England, our brother across the pond, with a 50-pound super chat donation. He says, hey, have a whiskey on me. Stephen, I'm glad that you're alive, that you're well, and it's great to hear from you. Here we are. We're going to pour that a nice one. Stephen says, I worry that something evil will happen at the Super Bowl. Love from jolly old England. Brotherly love to you, my fellow traveler. Semper Fi. If you have anything else, Stephen, to share with us about England, London, the politicians, the United Kingdom in general, what is going on the continent, how these damn illegals are getting into your country, what they are doing there. Are they doing the same thing there as everywhere else? Because where Europe goes, so goes socialist America until the fight begins. And Stephen, I remember you contributing, helping out a couple years ago. The difference, it's incredible between the first time I saw your name and the way I thought of England and our own country, and now today is stark. Stark. Back then, Joe Biden was just an idiot Democrat, lifelong scumbag, here to sell us out to the usual means and methods. Now it's completely advanced. The president, Joe Biden, he's a field general in the world of stupidity, or the intentional destruction of a nation, destroying our energy program, making enemies of those who provide us with energy, making enemies of those who shouldn't be enemies, allowing our country to be invaded, abandoning our military and our civilian international workforce in Afghanistan, handing billions to the Iranians, and handing over 150 billion that I'm aware of to Ukraine, just for them to stand there with their thumbs in their asses, Stephen, and march untrained military personnel to the front lines to be slaughtered. But just looking at America alone, Stephen, from the time you first made contact with this channel till now, it has gone from dire to dire and hopeless. That the federal government cannot be saved. It won't save itself. It's on a determined path of destruction. Trump, when he showed up in 2016, was going to drain the swamp, had no idea. We had no idea that our own government was this corrupt, that it was intentionally destroying our country. I thought it was accidental stupidity and just this desire to have socialism that was going to ruin our country. I didn't know they would legitimately, intentionally move to destroy this country monetarily, legally, militarily, academically, culturally, socially, traditionally, and geographically by allowing ourselves to be invaded. Anyway, Stephen, great talking to you, buddy. Semper Fi, man. Appreciate it. And yes, my son Luke says, hey, I think something's going to happen, Dad. I think something is going to happen at the Super Bowl. And we've been saying that for years. We've been saying that for years. I know. Now, I believe it was Joe Buck, a football announcer. I don't know if he does play-by-play or color. It's been, like I said, a long time since I listened to anyone. But Joe Buck says, hey, I'm not going to Vegas. I don't need all the I'm going to paraphrase Joe Buck. I don't need all the people, the crowds. I don't need all the Vegas stuff that happens because it's Vegas. But he directly said, and again, I'm paraphrasing, that he thinks something very bad could happen. So here we are. If something happens, I'm sure Ooman and Jolene will be notified, or my phone will start ringing off the fucking hook. So I'm keeping an eye on everything. Jolene, who is up next? It is Bob Hunter again. The cat, man. The cat is killing me. The cat. I don't know. He says, NYPNY 1970. Glad you woke up, my friend, with the help of John. We are all in the same shit sandwich. It's a big old shit sandwich, and we're all going to get a bite. Unfortunately, tomorrow we're going to have shit sandwich. And the day after that, we're going to get skunk sandwich. And the day after that, we'll go back to shit. And it's going to continue for a long time. And here's my prediction, Bob. If we, the people of Scotland and England, if the people of America and Canada, Australia and New Zealand all stood up and shouted no more and walked on Congress and walked on Parliament and said, right here, check it out. Declaration of Independence. We have a right and a duty to overthrow a government and change it for one that will serve us better. Because our rights are being destroyed. If that were to happen, we've still got years and years afterwards. So I guess what I'm saying, Bob, is get used to eating shit. That's what we've all got on the menu for quite some time. And I know that Klaus Schwab would like you, Bob, and me to have a nice bowl of cockroach clusters. They want us to eat bugs. I think bugs is one step above shit. But in California, in certain jurisdictions, they're now authorized to treat sewer water, which is urine, feces, and water, and then treat it, then send it back out in the domestic water supply line, meaning people are going to be drinking their own piss. They're going to be eating their own shit. They'll claim it's safe. Oh, it's safe. Have you ever smelled a reclaimed water sprinkler system turn on? They didn't quite get all the shit out of it. They don't fool me a bit. Thank you again, Bob. Jolene, who's up next? We have, holy shit, it's Boomer21 with a Canadian $50 super chat. Woo! Here we go. Here we go. It's going to be one of those nights. It's a Super Bowl of SHTF. Okay. If this runs out, I may have to go get the Captain Morgan backup. And then I've got probably 1.5 or 2 in there left. Anyways, Boomer, bam, here you are. Semper Fi, bottoms up. Prost. Now remember, I got to work tomorrow. Here we go. Boomer's going to this room right now. He says, if Michelle Obama does run for the DNC, the Democrat National Committee nominee, they'll have to raise that camera high to avoid the big bulge under its skirt. However, even at that, the width of its shoulders might cover the whole screen. Chefless Barry will be proud. That's fucked up, man. That is really fucking funny. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 280 plus. And I like to think I've got a nice bulge. But I don't wear skirts. Don't wear skirts. But Mike, big Mike Obama, he's got a bulge that most men would be like, yeah, man, I wish I had that kind of stuff going on. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't think she can. I don't think she's going to. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, the cameras will avoid the bulge. I think they'll have to put Michelle on a diet because she's really put on some weight. I think he might be taking testosterone again. His shoulders, his back, his neck. She's really starting to look like, if she was just hairier on the arms, like a frickin' Sasquatch. She is a muscular dude. So, but if she were to run, do you think Trump will call out the tranny, shall we say, I'm sorry, Boomer. You brought it up, man. You started it. Do you think, man, my head, do you think that Trump is going to bring up that and point to America and go, Michelle is a dude? Let's just be honest about this. But get this. Okay, we're going to go further with this. Hillary Clinton's, I'm sorry, folks, the Democratic Party, and we're on this topic right now. The Democrat Party, they're in big trouble. Joe Biden, earlier in the week, there's like a 300-page report out on a criminal referral. And he says, we're not going to prosecute Biden, even though we had these papers illegally, because they sat down and talked with him. And he's a well-meaning old guy, but he doesn't seem to have his wits about him. I'm like, so he's well-meaning and he can commit all the fucking crimes he wants? What if I'm well-meaning? Can I rob banks? Because I intend to give away 75% of the cash. I'll give it out. If I'm allowed to rob banks, I'll give out 75% of the cash to homeless people everywhere. You just got to let me go rob the banks, and I'll be far more generous than Joe Biden. Seriously, they're not going to press charges because he's a well-meaning old guy who's just a little bit slow off his rocker and having, some cognitive mental disorder issues. Unfucking believable. Now, Hillary Clinton says, and they're blaming it on his age, Biden's age. She says, Hillary does, that Biden's age is a legitimate issue. Now, what gets me is Hillary Clinton is the proverbial nightmare witch. And she is not much younger than Biden, right? She's calling the kettle black. She's wearing black. You know, Hillary Clinton does not have a cat. No, fucking cats know better than to get anywhere near her. Now, so it sounds like Hillary Clinton is trying to sneak back into the White House for her third try. She wants Biden out of the way. The Obamas have had it with Biden. Kamala Harris is not loved by anybody. And Nancy Pelosi wants Governor Gruesome Newsom in there. Gavin. I would be ashamed of my country if we have a president named Gavin. I mean, we've already got Genocide Joe in the White House, but really, I think that's what it's going to do. There's going to be a fight. I do not think, folks, not for a second, I do not think Michelle Obama stands a snowball's chance in hell, to quote my mother. And Mom, you're supposed to answer the phone when I call you. But yeah, she doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell. One, she has a huge bulge. Two, she's got shoulders that would make linebackers playing football tonight embarrassed. Three, she's a disgraced lawyer. Four, I don't know when the last time was that she did anything other than go on Oprah or go shopping. What number am I on? 5? Is it 5 or 6? I don't know. And another thing, she's not polished. She's not articulate. She's not likable. She scowls. She has resting bitch face. She's a bitch. She likes George W. Bush. There's a number of reasons I don't like her. But most importantly, I don't like her because she hates America. Did you know that Joe Biden, they you know, they'll go into an area and they'll give it a rating, poor, middle class, rich, and you get certain benefits from the government for that. Well, the Joe Biden administration said that Martha's Vineyard is low income. Therefore, they get the electric vehicle charging tax credits. Can you fucking believe that? Martha's Vineyard. They're poor. So they designated it, yeah. So they get more tax because they don't have enough fucking tax write-offs. I remember when I had money, it would make money all by itself. When you got $10 million, you got not much to worry about. You got $20 million, a lot less to worry about. But they're worried about a tax write-off for their electric vehicles. Tax incentive. Unfucking believable. So you got Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, and then the third one, Gavin Newsom. Those are your three potentials that are in the bullpen warming up right now. Nobody likes Hillary, folks. Nobody. Everyone pretends to like Hillary. I'm sorry, Michelle Obama. They pretend. And nobody really likes Gavin Newsom. He looks like a sick fucking Joker character, and he just needs paint on his face. He's a slimy, weaselly little fuck with no accomplishments to his name, other than dragging California further down the absolute socialist gutter move that has been on for decades. Plus, he's a complete fucking asshole for letting Northern California burn. Burn and burn. They're worried about old growth forests. He burned millions of acres, folks. Millions of acres. Oh, yeah, they really give a fuck. They give a fuck. Yes, they do. They give a fuck. Now, I've got one more thing on this Michelle bit. I know we all want to see the bulge, right? David Axelrod is the name. You might remember him from the Obama years. He was the advisor to the Obama White House. He is a serious sack of shit Democrat hack. And he says that he completely, Axelrod did, dismissed that Michelle Obama would seek to replace Joe Biden. And Axelrod has a long-standing relationship with the Obamas. And he brought out and said, hey, look, Michelle Michael with the bulge Obama is disinterested in a political career. Let me quote Axelrod. Quote, she never was interested in a political life, even when Barack Obama was a young politician. She really didn't participate much in his campaigns. I was with him in a Senate campaign in 2004. I think she showed up twice on the whole campaign on election nights. That's funny. When he said, I was with him in a Senate campaign in 2004, I thought he meant Michelle. She doesn't like the tone and tenor of politics. I wonder if it's because when threatened, her testicles become inflamed and she gets very angry and mean. But yeah, Axelrod says, nope, not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right, let's do this. I know we got a lot more super chat donations. You guys have a lot to say. We've got almost 400 people live. So share that internet address and then hit the thumbs up down below if you have not already. Make sure it's hit the thumbs up. Jolene, who's up next? We got Bob Hunter. He is setting a marathon record with a 10-pound super chat donation. He says, John, our government tries to kill us through forced injections. Bob, so did the American government. Canada did an awful job and got a massive percentage to take that shit. Australia, same story. New Zealand, they pushed the hell out of it. America, they tried. They threatened. They cajoled. They bribed. They lied. They bullshitted us. They played bait and switch, pea and shell, and a plain old fuck you, America. They tried fear porn. They tried science is smart. They tried everything they could, and a very small percentage of Americans took that shit. Mr. Uman, I'm calling on you. What percentage, and I'm thinking that your finely tuned German mind has the answer. What percentage of Americans, I don't need the precise answer, just close. What percentage of Americans took the Jim Jones juice? I'm going to hum the Jeopardy theme. Da, 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 da. I can't see. The sign language. I see 26, 25, 25, 52, 25.
I think it was around 75.
75% of the population took that shit?
I think it's somewhere between 60 to 75%, yeah.
All right, so 60 to up to 75% are the numbers.
I believe.
Okay, wow. Holy fuck. Thank you.
Jolene is saying 75, Heidi's saying 60.
Heidi is saying 60, so we're in that neighborhood. All righty. Yeah. Look at that blue wrench. That is one handsome tool for fucking people up. Excellent. I've got mine right here too. There are many blue wrenches, but this one is mine. My blue wrench and I will take out communists. Okay, so to continue with Bob Hunter, I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know what the percentage is of people in your country, but it looks like up to 75 in America. That means 25% of us are saying fuck you to the government. I bet a lot of the people that said they took it lied and said they took it so that whoever was doing the poll, whoever is doing the survey would like them. So I think that's why the low is 60 and the high is 75, because they just don't know for sure. Now, I happen to believe personally that the number is lower. I do know Republicans. I do know conservatives that took that shit. Idiots. I love them, but you're idiots. Now, I don't want to make fun of people because they were forced, tricked, badgered, beaten, scared to death, not sure, or they believe the lies, but it just sucks. They're not idiots for taking it. There's so many different ways that people got fucked into it, and I think we covered that. Jolene, I did not finish with Bob's statements. I stopped after the forced injections. His government is trying to kill them with forced injections. He says, I know my response. Do the majority of people know who their enemy is? By the way, John, Scotland's border is wide open, like the southern. You know who the enemy is. Do the majority of people know who their enemy is? No, they do not. The majority, Bob, no. The majority of people have never known who their enemy is because the enemy lies and people want to believe in the goodness of others. They want to believe that people can be pacified, satisfied, mollified and because I love the Scots. I've never met a Scot I didn't like. I love the movie Braveheart, which is about Scotland winning its freedom from the Longshanks in England. People want to live in peace. And if they can, they will. But tyrants, in their zest, their zeal, their zealotry for power and wealth, they're not just seeking power and wealth. I've long held that they're sadistic, that they're megalomaniac, sadistic assholes. And so they will always, always, always seek to undermine the rule of law, to punish the people they don't like, because they want to see people hurt. They get satisfaction out of that. They're sadistic. Now, I do have another example here to kind of make the point. So I used to talk about how rich people they don't like sitting in first class and having us plebes walk by, able to afford an airline ticket for $500 where the first class ticket was $5,000. They don't like the fact that, we're allowed to fly on the same plane. Why should they pay 10 times what we pay if we get to walk by and look at them and see what they get? And of course, we get to envy them. It's like, wow, they got much bigger, nicer seats, and they get champagne, right? But hey, I'm not paying $5,000 for a glass of champagne and run my pities and carpet that other people have. In any event, though, they know they're sadistic. If you're smart, you know who the enemy is. It is the government. It is the bankers. It is the aristocracy. Now, there were good aristocracy, I admit, in Scotland and in England and in other parts of the European continent. I know that. But by and large, the rich are rich because they fuck someone else out of it, especially the bankers, especially. And coming up pretty soon, I'm probably going to be talking about the Khazars a little more again. We're over 400 people live, folks. We got there after an hour and 15 minutes. What show out there could be live this long and continue to increase the number of people watching? The Prepared Mind Network, that's which one. The rsyndicate.com, that's who. It is your show on Sunday Night Live. It is the Super Bowl of SHTF. And we're talking about how screwed up the world is, where we're heading. Jolene, where are we going next? It is Uman. And he says, our world data reports that 270 million Americans received at least one blast in the arm of the Jim Jones juice. 270? That's about 75%. Because we've got, I think, including children, 350 million people here. And well, make that 365 million because now we need to count all the illegals. I don't believe the Our World Data report, but it gives us a general idea. They're going to shoot high, make it sound like Americans are good and stupid too. I have a feeling, though, when push comes to shove, and they could, with this disease X, really come to pushing us, I believe 20% of the country will continue to say, no fucking way, not going to happen. And I believe others that took the first shot are going to say, you know what? I'm not doing it again. I don't have to. There's no law. I don't give a fuck if it's an emergency. There's no excuse. I am a sovereign citizen. I do not have to take this shit. Plus, they lied about what they had one that passed that they said was an actual Jim Jones juice, but that's not the one they gave everyone. They gave everyone a substitute, untested, experimental juice. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Uman. Jolene, who is next? And it's Stephen Conlon. He's back with a 20-pound super chat donation. And he said, I laughed aloud at Boomer21. It's great when somebody speaks the obvious. Well done, Boomer21. Love from jolly old England. Folks, I never forget jolly old England. Ever. And I think the United States of America, our nation, owns a debt. We owe a debt of gratitude to our English brothers, still to this day. Yes, King George was an asshole. Yes, the redcoats were bastards. The governors were absolute bastards of the colonies. But they gave us something to start with. That it was a seed that germinated for approximately 500 years. And that was the concept of rights that the people possess and freedom. And America took that seed, common law, a law that the people can understand, that serves the people. And they used that concept to write the Declaration of Independence. They used the concept of freedom and liberty that came from England, common law, as well as those rascally guys who did the Boston Tea Party, who hung out at the Green Dragon. There's a lodge there. The philosophical development of freedom from 1717 onward into the Americas, it carried with it a promise of a new form of government where people could govern themselves and live freely. And that is what England gave us. When America was inhabited, right? You can think of it like a woman's pregnancy, right? America grew and grew until the birth of freedom came to be. It developed all during that gestation period, if you will. But the philosophy and concept of freedom was born out of common law from England. And that's why, as much as I'll Roger, our good friends over there in England and Scotland and Ireland and Wales and the Isle of Man, I love them. They're good people. Not the fuckheads. I never liked the fuckheads, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The good men and women. Thank you again, Stephen. Semper Fi. Always communicating. Always communicating. Let's do it. Jolene, who wants to step up next? Bob Hunter's back. Folks, America, where are you at? The British are coming. The British are coming. And the Scots are coming. Bob Hunter's back with another 5-pound super chat. He said, who was the most powerful cat in China? Chairman Meow. Oh, my goodness. A Chinese joke that's not racist. Holy shit, that was a good one. Chairman Meow. Bob, John the American, enjoy a more rather Scottish form of humor, English form of humor. I enjoy puns. I enjoy double entendres. I enjoy complicated jokes, and I really appreciated that one. It wasn't overly complicated, but it was definitely punny. Thank you very much, Bob. Okay, Jolene, where are we rolling next? Holy cow. Oh, shit. It's a very sad story. Steven's checking in with a 20-pound super chat donation. He says, my 39-year-old nephew was found dead in his apartment on Christmas Day. That is awful. It's terrible, Stephen, and my condolences. Seriously. To find a family member passed away is awful. Christmas, no less, making it worse. Stephen says, nobody knows why. I did. He took the Jim Jones juice. England is not so jolly. I still wonder, Stephen, about the pharmaceutical giants. Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and the rest. I have a feeling that there were areas where they had particularly potent batches of the Jim Jones juice. And there were areas where they were given placebo, saline solution, nothing. That's what I think. I think they tried a variety of mRNA combinations and formulas to see what the effect would be. There are many places where sterility became a factor. And I think across the board, women becoming pregnant, maintaining a pregnancy, and going to full term was severely impacted. Additionally, cancer is very much on the rise, and I hear about that a lot from Mr. Skylight as well as Darcy T over here in the States. But I'm very sorry to hear that, Stephen. It's not a jolly place. When I heard that my friend Randall died, Randall was a pretty good man. Nobody's perfect, but he's a good man. He's a nice friend of mine. One time he stopped by. He's like, hey, I see your channel, and I know where you're at, and here I am. And he just showed up at my fifth wheel there. But Randall, good guy. Walked up. They stuck him in the arm. He took a few more steps, and he died. Right there. Dead. A human life. All the energy and love that goes into creating somebody and then raising them and nurturing them, helping them learn, become a human being, go through all the education, all the moral backgrounds, everything you do to help them become a decent human. To be snuffed out because someone wants to make a bunch of money makes me sick to my stomach. And someone like Klaus Schwab can sit back and sneer at the people. Unbelievable. Thank you again, Stephen. And again, my condolences on your nephew. All right, Jolene, where are we rolling next? Whew. It is the Super Bowl of SHTF. Okay. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Pow. Let's do it. Let's do it. I want you to know, folks, now we're back into America. We're back into regular politics. A question was asked a few moments ago. Do you know who the enemy is? Do the people know who the enemy is? Well, the people are learning piece by piece, bit by bit. Even the Democrat cities. People are learning that these fucking Democrats are scumbags. Just regular old people. They're going to say allegedly drunk Pennsylvania state Democrat. I'm going to say, I don't care if he was drunk. The guy was a giant fucking asshole. I listened and watched the video. He's a state Democrat. He's a politician at the state level in Pennsylvania. He was at a bar and he was talking shit. And the female bartenders had had enough of his crap and they told him to get out. And he says, I will fucking end this bar. Do you know who I fucking am? Do you know who the fuck I am? Talking a bunch of trash that he's going to shut that bar down because he is that powerful. Right? He goes on a tyrannical terror, ranting and raving. And the girls, and they're girls, folks. This is supposedly a grown man, a powerful Democrat, arguing with bartenders. I think this is in Philly, too. They're yelling at him. They're cussing at him, calling him all sorts of names. And he just wanted to stand there and argue with them. Folks, this is how Democrats think. This is how socialists think. This is how communists think. You obey them or you will be destroyed by them. They hide it most of the time. They try using flowery words and, well, I'll give you money. I'll give all you plebes money. Just vote for me and everything will be fine. Put a couple of drinks in them like this jackass at the bar, and they say the words that they really believe inside their little brains. They believe the words that they are that powerful. They are that mighty, and they'll fuck you up. Now, we've had an awful lot coming from Stephen Conlon and from Bob over there. So let's bounce back over. I couldn't believe it. Boris Johnson, the former United Kingdom Prime Minister. Boris Bad Haircut Johnson, got hair in his face all fucked up. That Boris Johnson. He called Tucker Carlson a traitor. Because he went over to Russia. He went to Moscow. And he interviewed Vladimir Putin. Okay, Boris. Now, see, mainstream politicians. You can't trust them. Who can we trust? That's why we're in so much trouble in America, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, etc., right? Talking to a man is treason. Right, Boris? But allowing 1 million illegals into your country to destroy your culture, your laws, your traditions, that's just fine, right, Boris? Right? That's how politicians see things. As long as they're getting what they want, everything's fine. They can let millions in. 10 to 15 million in the United States. They're sending scumbags from Africa, the Middle East, all up into all European nations. But if you decide to go to talk to another president that these same politicians don't like, you're a traitor. Folks, now when I call someone a traitor, it doesn't carry any weight. I'm just John. Who the fuck am I? 80,000 subscribers? I'm nobody. If you're Boris Johnson, you can pick up the phone and call the prime minister still. You probably remember the phone number. If you're Boris Johnson or Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton, you can pick up the phone. You can call prosecutors and say, this is treason. And you can change someone's life that fast. That fast. They can let millions of people in the country, and they've got the balls to call a reporter, a member of the press, a fucking traitor. I bet Stephen Conlon can probably name a few things that Boris did that might qualify as treason. All right, let's do some more super chat. We're still up at 376 people live right now. We're into our last 30-minute segment. We got 20 minutes left in the show, and there's a lot to discuss. Around the world, whether it's England, America, Canada. Folks, Justin Turdhole Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, he is in big, big trouble. He is now hiding under the slimiest rock. He's now seeking shelter under the smelliest toadstool. He is now an underbridge dweller, hiding from the media and the people who are pissed off at him. All right, Jolene, who's up? What do we got? What do we want to talk about? Hey, holy sheesh. It is Mr. Cross 1911 with a $5 super chat. I hope you're doing well, brother. I really do. And Mr. Shock, folks, if I ever head up north, man, you know I'll be calling you. You know I've got something about Washington, D.C. I want to stay the hell out of. But anyways, Mr. Cross says this. Well said, John. Snuffed out. And those in charge sit back and laugh. No question, just thanks. Mr. Cross, I hope no one in your family, your group, your community has suffered an injury or complications in their health because of the Jim Jones juice. I hope all is well up north as well. I'm telling you, there's so many people, good people out there I'd love to meet in person across this country. Thank you, Mr. Cross. God bless you, brother. All right. I've got more stuff I want to talk about. That was a surprise, folks. That was a great surprise. There's a lot of people. A lot of people. And here we go. We're going to continue to be fed bullshit and propaganda by the American government, the British government, the Israeli government. And we'll continue to get bald-faced, stupid lies out of Hamas, Hezbollah, and every other terror organization. But over the weekend, the Israeli Defense Force, the Army of Israel, has reported that they discovered that beneath the United Nations Gaza headquarters, that's right, inside Gaza, the United Nations has a headquarters, but underneath that, there is a top secret Hamas data center. Do you believe that? Do you believe that the IDF has discovered that Hamas, the terror group, has servers that are cooked into the United Nations network so they can continue to operate, communicate? I believe it. I think it's definitely possible. Am I 100% certain? Of course not. What I will say is the IDF has lied about quite a bit of shit. And I will say that Hamas lies about every fucking thing and they never tell any truths. I will also say that the United Nations must and should share in responsibility for a lot of the lost lives. The United Nations, folks, tends to play both sides in any conflict. It's a similar trick to what, well, the super rich industrialists do. The super rich bankers do. They'll pay money to both sides in a conflict and support them financially. Because whoever wins, that bank knows, they're like, hey, remember when we loaned you $1 billion and you've won the war? We just want a little bit of turnabout. Turnabout is fair play. One hand washes the other, so to speak. Well, the United Nations will play both sides. It makes itself more valuable to Gaza. It makes itself more valuable to Israel. It makes itself more valuable to other nations who give a shit. I wouldn't be surprised if the UN wasn't well aware that Hamas had hooked into their network and that there was a tunnel, a secret tunnel or secret area under the UN's headquarters. They're all a bunch of slimy fucks. Do you think they really care about you? I don't. I don't think so at all. Mr. Ranger, I will get back to your email after the show. Too much to read right now. Too much to read. Has to do with AI attacking. Folks, AI has gotten a lot of media attention lately, by the way. Artificial intelligence, both in manufacturing, general services, as well as computer power. And then, how do we put this? Computer autonomy. In other words, artificial intelligence, supercomputers, making decisions not necessarily for our benefit, but for its own. For its own. I've got a ton of shit here. Damn, I've got a ton of shit. Where do we start? In New York City, pro-Palestine terrorists have occupied the MoMA Museum, the MoMA Museum, and they ended up hanging a large banner with their Hamas Palestinian genocidal message, their anti-Israel, anti-Jew message. Folks, they're not going to go away. They won't stop their bullshit. To them, it's like a drug. They get high by acting like little terrorist thugs. And what are they doing? They're intimidating museum workers. That's who they are. That's who these fucking people are. Now, this came up last week. Butler County, the sheriff there, came out and said, hey, you folks, I met with Christopher Wray of the FBI. There's terrorism coming, and it's going to be big and out of control. You need to get prepared and get armed. Now, the Butler County Sheriff has decided he's going to offer disaster training to civilians because he says, yeah, terror attacks are imminent. And the federal election, right, is coming, and we're going to have interference. This is funny, folks. This is the recommendation the Prepared Mind Network made. We recommended it to people and sheriff's departments. Reach out. If your sheriff is being quiet, reach out to them and say, what can I do to help? How about some training, some cooperation? How about having a sheriff's posse to keep law and order in the event there's an emergency, an overwhelming situation, et cetera, et cetera. And if the sheriff is offering this position, it may be a good idea to get involved and to get disaster training and to figure out what the disaster preparedness plan is for your city or county or your general geographic area. If it gets nasty, there's no reason, right, that you need to be suffering for it. Now, the mainstream media, folks, is continuing to get its own ass kicked. I think I'm coming down off of the Glenfiddich. I've got another one left. Just one more in the bottle. All right. I hate the mainstream media, folks. We, me and you, the Americans. Over in England, they had the BBC. Up in Canada, they had the CBC. Down in Australia, they have the ABC. And I guess New Zealand has NZBC. We used to trust these fucking people. But they lied, and then they lied, and then they're partisan, and they lied some more. And fuck them, they keep lying. So Chris Wallace of CNN thinks that he matters to the American people. And he came out and tried to criticize Tucker Carlson. And Greg Gutfeld on Twitter knocked him out. And it's important to remember, folks, it's a note, and it's a note I always remember. I am not afraid to get out and say all manner of crazy stuff, trying to wake people up and tell it like it is. To be brutally honest about these communist, fascist, scumbag, leftist Democrats. Did I miss anyone on that? And rhinos. There we go. Don't be afraid to criticize them. They cannot criticize you worth a shit. Right? Greg Gutfeld on Twitter defeated Chris Wallace. Liberals cannot use satire. They don't have smart or intelligent criticisms. Every time they try it, they get pummeled. Just as Greg Gutfeld has pummeled Chris Wallace for trying to criticize Tucker. All they have is name calling and using the government to try and punish us. Literally. They use force whenever they have it available to them. An example of that is down on the border. There is a federally funded, federally staffed migrant facility. These aren't migrants. They're illegal invaders, but they're calling them migrants. So 2 congressmen, 2 members, folks, of Congress showed up and wanted access. They wanted access because of oversight, because taxpayer money is being spent on foreign nationals who are here illegally, and they wanted to see what the hell was going on and where the money's being spent. They were denied access, folks. Once again, just like the congressional members that wanted to go into the D.C. prison system and check on the January 6th protesters and find out why their rights were being destroyed, squashed, ignored, stepped on, crapped on, ground up in a blender. And they still are, folks. When they get out, they're going to be some of the people at the front of the line facing the enemy. So what are they hiding down there at the border? They denied Congress in Washington, D.C. They're denying Congress at a stupid migrant facility. What are they hiding? Drugs? Child abuse? Sex trafficking? What could it be? Tell me, what could it be? Because I don't know. I don't know what it could be, but they're hiding it. All right, Jolene, let's do it. We got some more super chats as we close out the show. Who's up next? Holy cow. It is Cyber Hannah back with a $50 super chat donation. She says, do it. Do it. Cheers. Oh, good golly. Let's see where we got on this bottle right here. We're so close. So close. So close. Whoop. Uh-oh. Looks like we're close, but not that close. Anyway, Cyber Hannah, thank you so much. Semper Fi to you, and God bless. Be safe. Be prepared, and I know you are. Once again, I'm going to have one of those nights, and then 0 dark 30 tomorrow morning. I'm going to have one of those fucking mornings. Woo! Good golly. If I have any germs on my my system, they are all now dizzy germs. Thank you, Cyber Hannah. Und next, who do we have, Jolene? And it's Mile High Ronan with a $1.99 super chat donation. And he says, John, fellas, meaning everyone on here, always be prepared. Solte. Thank you, Mile High Ronan. It's always being prepared. Once again, folks, I get up, I leave the bunker. I look around, it's very dark. Make sure that there's nothing suspicious going on. I make my way to the Prepared Mind armored vehicle. I start it, lights come on, everything looks good. Going down the road, I check all the time. Is anyone following me? Is anyone following me? Is anyone following me? Even while I'm recording the videos, I'm looking to make sure nobody is doing something suspicious. When I get to the first stop, when I get to the place, we'll call it work, I get out of the vehicle, I look around. Are there any humans around? Are there an excessive number of homeless people? Is anyone paying attention to me? Always prepared. Someone's approaching on the right, I move my EDC to my left hand and prepare the right for action. And I think if they makes a move, what is my response? If he makes a move, what is my response? Whether they're coming at me, they're off in the periphery. And it's not always homeless. Sometimes it's other business people. Sometimes it's city workers. Sometimes it's the police. And I keep an eye on everybody. Always be prepared. Thank you, Mile High Ronan. Who's next? We've got Bob Hunter's back with another $5 super chat. And he says, I've had to rewrite my comments, John. Gulag Tube censored me, but our governments are not our friends. I tell you what, our governments are not our friends. My friends do not come to me and say, we want 20% of the money you managed to scrounge this year. My friends do not show up and say, give me your money or we'll take your vehicle. We'll take your property. We'll garnish your wages. We'll throw you in jail. My friends do not pull guns on me and demand to see my driver's license and my insurance. My friends don't demand anything. Governments demand, folks, under penalty of arrest, imprisonment, or shooting you to pieces. They are no friends. And Gulag Tube, which is, I've never heard that one, Bob. That's good. Gulag Tube. YouTube, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok. Did I say Google? Any of these social media shithole sites are shit. Now, BitChute's not bad. Rumble's not bad. Right? Trump's system is not bad. Twitter is a fucking mess still. They're our enemies. They are our enemies. And all they want to do is steal from you. They're not our friends. None of them. Not for a fucking second. Whoa, John, we need police, so you got to pay taxes. We need this. We need that. I pay taxes at the fuel pump. I pay taxes at the store. I pay taxes when I want a bottle of alcohol. I pay taxes if I want some cigars. I'm always paying taxes. Taxes for tires, taxes for the road, taxes for the bridges. Oh, you want to go over this bridge? It's a toll bridge. Meanwhile, the country falls apart while I continue to pay, and you and all of us, enormous sums of money. And someone like Chuck the fuck Schumer wants to look at you and say, if Congress does not pass this bullshit budget blasting billions of dollar bunghole, he said, if we don't give $60 billion to Ukraine, then we are going to war against Russia. It was a threat. It was extortion. Fuck him. These people are not our friends. Thank you again, Bob. Thank you so much. Let us move on, shall we? We're getting to the end of it. And it is Boomer21 back with a Canadian $10 super chat. And he says, every state has federally owned land which will be used for building up as opposed to out for housing illegal border jumpers. Every state has federally owned land, yes. Now, years ago, we used to talk about Walmarts being built. They're kind of like prisons in a way. They're all block with limited entry and exit, very tall walls, bathrooms inside, etc. And now those Walmarts that we said, wow, they're always going to be making money for Walmart, they're shutting them down. They're shutting them down. They kind of manipulated them during the Cerveza-Beg lockdowns when people had to keep 6 feet, and they ran them through like a rat maze. Well, they could clean out a Walmart in a second and turn it into one of these illegal refugee quarters. They could turn the Walmarts, which are going out of business because of looting and theft, they could easily turn those into a patriotic American concentration camp. Oh, yes, they could. You bet they could. I'm more concerned, Boomer, about housing for us in our re-education camps versus the illegal border jumpers. I'm sure they would just as soon put the illegal border jumpers into my house or your house or someone else's house after they remove us temporarily or even permanently. All righty. Thank you, Boomer. We're at the end of the show. We're just down to the last few seconds. Do we have someone left in the background? I don't know. Jolene, what do we got? Dum, bum, 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 bum. Good. We're all set. I can escape without that last shot. Where do I want to go? I got one more thing. One more thing. What do I want to go? Where am I going with this? Folks, this is what I'm going to end the show on. The White House has removed Joe Biden's Thursday night press conference. They've removed it from their website, from their White House YouTube channel. His performance was evidence he isn't fit to be president. And I am going to predict that he is going to resign soon. I bet he's going to claim that he has dementia, the health issues, that he's just too incompetent, obviously, too incompetent. Isn't that interesting? Didn't we hear that? I thought we heard just that thing, that claim, coming from J.P. Morgan's political analyst who said Joe Biden's going to drop out for health reasons. He's going to do that sometime between Super Tuesday and the election. It's getting closer and closer, folks. Shit getting nasty is getting closer and closer. And chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I want to thank you guys for a great show. I've had a ton of fun. I'm dizzy as fuck. I'm going to have a great night's sleep until I have to wake up too early to do 0 Dark 30. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for showing up on the Super Bowl, because this to me is way more important than a bunch of grown men running around. bunch of grown men running around getting paid money, and then they get to tell us how bad we are. Steve Conlon checks in at the last moment with a 10-pound super chat donation, 10 pounds sterling. He says, "You will own nothing and be happy." Well, Mr. Conlon, I'll see you next week or the week after, I hope. Fare thee well and semper fi. I own a little bit, and they're not going to get what I have left. No, we all have our work cut out for us. Thank you, Brother Stephen. Thank you to all. Godspeed. Good night. Chance favors the prepared mind. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. That's what you need. We all need it. See you soon.